Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In today's video I'm going to be setting up a few multi-block structures that pertain to the fission reactor within Mechanism. If we take a look into my inventory, you'll see the things that we need for the first of our multi-block structures. And I'm going to be building the fission reactor. So here we have the fission reactor casing, which is a very relatively simple process to build. I also have some fission reactor ports. In total, I have 4, and that's all you'll actually need. We have the fission fuel assembly, which, again, relatively simple process to make these things. And the control rod assembly. The last thing that you'll need is some reactor glass, which is relatively simple as well. Now, the thing about the fission reactor, just like most multi-block structures within Mechanism, you can build this to pretty much any size. However, there is a minimum requirement as well as a maximum requirement. So the minimum requirement is 3 by 4 by 3, while the maximum requirement is 18 by 18 by 18. Now I'm going to be building a 7 by 7 one. I've already marked out the space that I'm going to need, so it's just a matter of filling in these blocks. So on our first layer here, it's literally just going to be comprised of fission reactor casings, like so. Now, for me to quickly place this, I'm going to be utilizing a diamond wand, which is easy as that. For the second layer, we're going to place on all 4 corners a single piece of fission reactor casing, like so. Then we're going to join each of these 4 pieces of fission reactor casings with the reactor glass, like so. Now I'm purposely leaving a gap on this one, as well as here, and here. And I'm going to be placing the fission reactor ports, like so, on each of them, in each of those gaps. Now, we are going to start by placing our fission fuel assembly. So, because it's an odd number, we can easily find the center, and then I'm going to be placing the fission fuel blocks like so. Now, you'll realize quickly that this is basically a checkerboard pattern that I've created. You cannot place these fission fuel assemblies next to each other like this because, well, simply it won't work. So you must have a block of air at least around on 4 faces of the fission fuel assembly. So that completes our second layer. So now I'm going to get our wand back out. We're going to, quickly click on these things, and we're going to start building the next layer. Oh, didn't mean to place this here. Gonna place back the reactor glass, sorry. And now on the corner, use our wand. It's a piece of glass. Our wand once more. And there we go. Okay. So that should complete our second level, at least the outer. Now to do the inner. Thankfully, all we just have to do is click with our wand and it places all the necessary fission fuel assemblies that we need. So I'm going to go up once more. I basically keep on doing this until I reach the height that I've set this assembly to be. So let's jump up. Just a little bit quicker. Okay. So that is my... Oh, I don't know what oops, fell down. I realized that I was thinking I was one piece of glass short, but to break this out, here's where I'm going to place my second. Oh, sorry, not the second, the 4th and final fission reactor port. Now, you can place those ports anywhere around, but in my case, that's where I've decided to put them. And in the future episodes, you'll actually see why those things are placed like they are. So now, it's just a matter of me going back around and filling in gaps with these reactor casing. So Just one more. So that's, in essence, this is what you'll actually be having once, you know, if you manually place each of these blocks working layer by layer. So, on top of these, each of these fission fuel assemblies, you need to place one control rod assembly. So it's not much of these that you'll actually have to make. And this is all you basically have to place them like so. On top of each column of fission fuel assembly. Okay. Now, this is the final layer. And this is basically the final layer that you know, will have to reproduce at whichever size or dimensions that you so choose to build yourself a fission reactor. So, like so, we're just going to come back on top. We're going to place the entire outer perimeter with our fission reactor casing. Basically, we're going to build back another 7x7 square on top. So, like this. I'm using the wand, if anyone didn't realize, to just quickly place these blocks, so that's why I won't have to manually place it. And once it's completed, you'll see that red kind of effect that happened to let you know that your fission reactor is actually fully formed. Now, let me hop down and actually grab back my configurator to do some simple configurations, in case you decide to jump ahead. So on this side, I'm going to have this be my input only. And if we click here, you can see that we're going to need a coolant tank, a fuel tank, a heated exhaust, a heated coolant tank, as well as a waste tank. So that should be a clue to you as to what your inputs and how to configure these essential components here. So let's come on this side. Now on this side, I want my waste to be. Over here, I want again, another input. This is going to be for our coolant. And this one, I'm going to put actually, no, let me flip these two around. Right, so our output is going to come here. And our input is going to come back there. Okay, so that is our fission reactor completed. Now let's get into the second thing that we're going to be building, the second multi-block structure today. And that is a boiler. So let me quickly grab all the ingredients. Well, all the blocks, not ingredients. So we're going to need some superheating elements, which I do not believe I have that saved. Which is, again, most of these blocks are very simple to actually build. Boiler casing, I believe I have that saved. Yep. Again, simple. You're going to need some structural glass, some boiler valves, in particular 4 boiler valves. You are also going to need some pressure. Switch back up, I didn't save it. Some pressure dispersers. Okay, let's make sure I have everything placed the way I need it to. So we have the glass, we have the boiler casing. Okay, so now I'm going to come over here and build the second multi-block structure that's going to be required for the functioning of our fission reactor. And that is a boiler. So I'm going to start by placing down a 9x9 square area of boiler casings, like so. I'm once again going to utilize the diamond one to help me quickly place these blocks out, like that. And on all 4 corners, we're going to place a single piece or single block of boiler casings. Then we're going to come behind this and connect the entire side, with the exception of the dead middle, with the structural glass. Right here, I'm going to place a boiler valve. This side, we're going to come down here with some more structural glass and leave out the middle there. I'm going to place another boiler valve. Okay, now in the middle, we're going to come right here and place the superheating element, and that should complete our second layer. Now we're going to basically keep on replicating the following layer. So we're going to place the glass first, actually. right around. Right above our boiler valve, we're going to place another piece of glass and also place these next set of blocks. And there we go. So now it just leaves us to do our corners to complete our third layer, like so. Stepped. So now we have this complete there. So now we're going to duplicate that again. Well, not duplicate. Auto, quickly place those things utilizing the diamond one. And okay. So right here, I'm going to place a boiler valve on this side. And on this side as well, I'm going to place another boiler valve. Now on this level, we have a very important thing to place. And that is these pressure dispersers. So I'm just quickly going to build a great piece like so. And then utilize the diamond one to cover the entire area with these pressure dispersers. Like so. So now we can't get into the internal cavity of our boiler. And lastly, we're going to come right here. Nope. Wrong thing I'm placing here. Quickly move these. Okay. Now we're going to complete this layer by placing some structure glass, like so. As you can see, wrapped around, as well as on this side, fully wrapped around. And now all we have to do now is cap this off with our boiler casing, like so. I'll bring this across. Oh. And let me place these last two blocks here, and as you'll see, ta-da, this is going to be formed. Okay. There's one last thing, one last main multi-block structure pertaining to the fissile fuel itself, well, to the fission reactor and its functioning, left to do. And I think I'll do that when it turns back to day. So now it's daytime. It's the third and almost basically the final multi-block structure that we're going to need in order to basically operate our fission reactor. And that's the turbine. Now the turbine as well is relatively simple. Build its blocks. You're going to need a lot of turbine casing, good bit of structural glass if you want to actually see a turbine, decent bit of saturation condensers, turbine vents. You're going to need some electromagnetic coils. You're going to need a rotational complex, as well as you're going to need some turbine rotors and some turbine blades. Okay. So I'm going to be building I believe it's another 9x9 turbine. So the first layer is very simple actually. It's another square made solely out of the turbine casing. So I'm going to utilize the diamond one to quickly place all of these turbine casings, which if we check back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. One more row. That should be the 9 that we need over there. And on all 4 corners, we're going to place a turbine casing like so. Now, I am going to quickly place myself a turbine valve right here and right here. Let me get back these turbine rods. And finish off the second layer. We're going to wrap it up basically by connecting each side with the structural glass, similar to what we did in the previous builds. Okay, now in the center, for simplicity, we're going to place down the turbine rod, the turbine rotor, and in fact, I'm actually going to go through and place all the turbine rotors. So I'm going to utilize all the remaining 12 of these turbine rotors as I jump up, and place each of them as we go up. So you won't have to really worry about basically filling this entire thing in. Next, we're going to come with some turbine blades, and we're just going to simply click on the turbine rotor with these blades, and you'll see them start to place from the bottom, come all the way to the top, like so. And on top of this turbine rotor, all you have to do is place that one rotational complex on top, like so. That basically gets rid of most of the internal work that we're going to actually have to do for this, because this is actually pretty hollow. We're basically going to have to replicate a layer like this. Let me just quickly place the structure of glass over this, so this way we won't be confused, because we only need those two valves there. I'll place that there, place the casing there, and similarly on this side and here. So now all we have to do is replicate this all the way until we reach just one block under our rotational complex. So let's do that, shall we? Okay. Now that this is the actual height that we're going to, be at, you notice our glass is literally one block, or yeah, literally the layer right underneath the rotational complex. And all I have to do now is just simply fill this in with the turbine casing like so on all sides. I'll quickly do this on this one as well. Okay, and these last two sides. This one here. Okay, so now that we're on this level, let me start gathering the remaining items into my inventory. So we're going to need to have that, the turbine vents. Turbine vents, there's the casing. All the casing can go there. We have the pressure dispersers. Okay. So in line with the rotational complex, we're actually just going to completely fill it with these pressure dispersers all the way till it just meets the glass, like so. Let me come around on this side, place these like so. I'm going to utilize the wand to quickly bring these out. All right. On this side, we're going to do the same thing. All right. So now the internal access to the turbine is basically blocked by entire layer of pressure dispersers. Now on this level, we're also going to come back and put some turbine casing right there and there on each of these four sides. Lastly, we're going to come and we're going to put a turbine vent like so along the entire thing, along the entire perimeter of our turbine like this. Remember, your four corners has to be the turbine casing. Can't have it be the vents or any other block. It has to be that turbine casing. Okay, so now we are going to come and place our saturating condensers on top of our pressure dispersers, like so. As well as, we're going to take our electromagnetic coil and we're going to place one right above that rotational complex, and we're just going to attach it so all the way across our pressure dispersers. Now you don't have to do it. Yeah, I believe I'm using 6. Yeah, I'm using 6 of these. You don't have to use 6 electromagnetic coils. You can use less, you can use more, but make sure that it stays on top of the pressure dispersers, because we're going to actually have to place another series of vents above these ones. So it has to basically just occupy any space within here while it is connected to a single electromagnetic coil that is above your rotational complex. And the rest of this area, we are going to basically be filling this in with the saturating condenser like so. And let me get the wand out to simply place these like that. And this is our last saturating condenser. Okay, now we're going to come back again on each of the corners. We're going to place down our turbine casing like so. And we're going to get our diamond wand in hand and basically auto place another row of turbine vents like so. So if we take a look offside here, you'll see to the top we have basically as it is 2 turbine vent layers. Now On top of each of these saturating condensers, we are going to be placing, oh, this is the turbine vent, right? We're going to be placing down the turbine vent across the entire thing, like so. We're going to leave the edges, so on both sides, because on the this final layer here, you remember those good old turbine casing, and you can probably detect a pattern. The entire outer rim of whatever multi-block structure that you're building has to have the casing for that respective multi-block structure. So in the case of the nuclear reactor, see how we had that wrapping around the entire thing on the entire outer perimeter? Same thing for the boiler, and well, it's the same thing over here for the turbine. Like so. The only difference is with the turbine, the internal part of this entire big square, of this 9x9 square, can actually be turbine vents, like this. Well, I think it actually has to be turbine vents, not can. And there you go, it's fully built. So if we drop down, we'll see, oh, an industrial turbine has been formed. Relatively simple. These are two very big multi-block structures, but relatively easy and relatively simple to set up. Okay, so there's one last multi-block structure that I want to set up, and those items are contained in those chests over there, and I'll be back during the day to finish constructing the multi-block structures. So it's daytime, and now I'm just going to be setting up a thermal evaporation boiler. This is not to be confused with the boiler that we set up right here. This is a completely different boiler, and it serves a completely different purpose. Now, I'm going to be building a maximum height thermal evaporation boiler. So if you guys are, curious as to the quantities of these blocks that you're going to need, basically you can, copy or build similar amounts. Now, the reason for the thermal evaporation valves, why we have 3, I'll probably showcase that later on, but I'm already planning ahead because we can attach another item onto onto our thermal evaporation boiler. You're going to need 1 thermal evaporation controller, and you're going to need 4 advanced solar generators. Now, to make these thermal evaporation blocks, I know I just went through them. Let me just quickly show you how to make each of these. So the first thing that you're going to craft is basically this thermal evaporation boiler block. Really simple stuff. You just need some copper and some steel. The single control block, again, you're going to need the thermal evaporation block, but it's not too complex to build. And then for the 3 valves, well, this is the recipe for 1. So again, nothing too complicated. Really simple stuff. The hardest thing and basically to build in this is actually the advanced solar generators, because if we go through, it requires quite a good bit of steps in order to get to the advanced solar generator. But again, thanks to refined storage, those things should be relatively easy for you. Now, to construct this thermal evaporation boiler, it's essentially a 4x4 area that we're going to be building like this, and similar to each of the other multi-block structures, we have to fill in the inside with the thermal evaporation blocks. Now I'm getting annoyed by this little wandering trader. Let's see if he has anything of worth. No, you do not, good sir, so he gone. Okay, now that he's gone, because they would literally annoy and block the entire space, we're going to place down a thermal evaporation block on all the 4 corners. Right here, we're going to put, not there. We need to see the screen, so we're going to place that thermal evaporation controller right here. I'm going to put a thermal evaporation valve right here, and another one right there. Now we're just going to basically fill this entire area in with a thermal evaporation blocks like so. So as you keep on adding on blocks, you'll see that it's formed, and it'll give you a height number. Well, right now we're at a height of 3 because, well, hey, we've used 3 different layers of thermal evaporation blocks. The maximum that you can take this up to actually is 18. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Now I've overplaced a little bit. So let me just clear these blocks out, and I'll show you how we actually reach for this final layer. Now in the final layer, we're going to place the thermal evaporation blocks, like so. Oh, I know what I forgot to place. I was wondering why I was one short. Let me just come, I don't know, right here should do fine. I'll place that thermal evaporation valve there. Now I'm placing 2 in the back, you don't have to. You can actually get by skipping that thermal the third thermal evaporation valve I placed by, and just replacing that with, well, a thermal evaporation block. In the next episode, I'll actually showcase why I'm utilizing that third valve. Now back again on this top layer. We're going to come here and we're going to attach our advanced solar generators like so. Just making sure that the connectors are actually facing outward, because we can actually utilize that power to power an external heater. That's the whole reason why I placed this valve here, right here. So this way we can actually attach an external heat source to this to have it produce even in the night. So now that this block is fully formed, if we go and click on it, we'll see a maximum height of 18 has been achieved. And just for for peace of mind, in case anyone was wondering if what happens if I remove any of the blocks, or maybe you're thinking, oh, you miscalculated. You won't be able to click into it. That entire layer, that top layer, will act as the finishing layer. So you can't, remove any of those blocks. It'll actually destroy the multi-block structure. And I know, unlike each of these other structures here where the entire outer perimeter was utilizing the casing pertaining to each of the multi-block, as in the case of the reactor casing, the boiler casing, and the turbine casing, the outer 4 of the boiler isn't, well, boiler casing. But hey, it still works. The reason why it's designed this way with the usage of these advanced solar generators, they actually help to allow the boiler to actually function and produce the heat that it needs to convert the water into brine. Now I have another one of these to set up, but I'll do that off camera. And that's basically going to be it for this episode. It's just an entire bunch of setting up of multi-block structures. In the next episode, I'm actually going to go and set up the fission fuel, the fissile fuel, which if you take a look, spelled fissile wrong. We're going to need an isotopic centrifuge to convert, this uranium hexafluoride. Let me just, it's uranium hexafluoride. And to create this uranium hexafluoride, you're going to need uranium oxide, and you're going to need hydrochloric acid. And to get the hydrochloric acid, you're going to need sulfuric acid. Yeah, you're going to need sulfuric acid and fluoride. And to get this, you're going to need water vapor and sulfur trioxide. And to get the sulfur trioxide, you're going to need sulfur dioxide and oxygen. And yeah, you basically get the idea. It's a very long process in order to get ourselves to fissile fuel, but it's going to be worth it. Not only do we get a larger or more, constant power source than say our gas burning generator over there. Also, we're going to be working towards getting ourselves the mecha suit, which requires polonium pellets, which to get these polonium pellets, you're going to need polonium. And how do you get that? We're going to need that nuclear waste. And that is what this is going to produce for us. But that's, something for another episode. So thank you all for watching and take care. Bye bye now.